As we stare deeper onto the paper, we begin to unlock the secrets of the amazing staff shooter, pro staffer, sponsored man or woman. Stare deeper.
Hey, what's up, guys? I just wanted to make a quick video, talk about some staff shooters, being sponsored, pro staff, things like that. If I mention either one of those three, just know that I'm talking pretty much about the same thing. But the reason I wanted to do this video is because I've been a business owner for quite a while in the archery industry, an archery shop and a string building company. And to be honest with you, before I owned a business, I didn't understand a lot of things or didn't see things in the same way that I do now. So I wanted to put this together just to kind of relay or give some insight into a different point of view, if nothing else. I don't own this great big huge company, and I'm not a top place finisher in all the tournaments, but I am pretty much pro staff for a lot of things. I mean, you can tell that because it says it right here. And also look at this shirt I'm wearing. You see the size of these arrows and the stickers on my truck. So I mean, that pretty much means that I'm pro staff in just about everything. I mean, Jimmy's Quick Lube and Miracle Grow and stuff like that. But first off, I'd like to give a shout out to them and thanks for the opportunities they've given me. But aside from that, I want to talk about what it means to be a staff shooter or a pro staffer. Pro staff or pro in the pro staff doesn't mean professional, it means promotional. So by being on someone's pro staff, you're part of their promotional team. And the reasons that you would want to be on a pro staff or be on somebody's staff is, you could get free stuff, you could get discounted stuff, which that's great. There's nothing wrong with saying, yeah, I'd like to have some free stuff or I'd like to have a discount on some things. Man, this is an expensive hobby that we're into, and there's very little return that ever comes out of it. We don't, unless you're the top of the line shooters and stuff, we're not making big returns on going to tournaments and things like that. So if we can get a little bit of kickback or ways to help enable us to continue doing what we love to do, then that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with saying that you like to get free stuff. Another thing, it's also not wrong that you maybe like the status of being on someone's pro staff or being a staff shooter for somebody. I think that's great. Anybody that says, oh, I don't care about that, I don't care if I'm on somebody's pro staff or whatever, here's my BS flag I'm waving right now. So most people, they get a kick out of that. They like to be able to brag with their buddies and stuff like that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You don't have to be a butt about it, but to say that you're on someone's pro staff and you're getting a little bit of recognition for what you love to do, heck yeah, man, that's awesome. Now, why would companies want you to be on the pro staff, or why do they even have a pro staff? I'd say that before I, owned a business, I might have thought that they had whatever, let's say 10 grand laying around every year that they put into an advertising budget, that they just plan to blow that, in advertising. It's not that way. For every 2 pennies that are spent on a fuzzy-headed pen or pencil or whatever, or business card, they're expecting to get a return greater than the cost. They expect to make a profit. So by having a staff shooter or someone on their promotional team, it's not that if they give you a 50% discount on a dozen arrows, let's say it costs the company 25 bucks, they expect to get more than that 25 bucks. And I don't think that a lot of new shooters or staff shooters or whatever see it that way necessarily. You've got to look at it as a partnership because the company expects that. Think about it this way. If I could give you $1 knowing that I'd get $3 in return, I would do it every time, right? You would too. In fact, I'd look for 100 people to do that with. Right? 100 partners, I'd be willing to give $1 if I knew I could get 3 in return because I'm making a profit. It's the same way companies see their staff shooters. They know that they're giving a little and in expectations of getting more in return. Another thing with this partnership is it has got to be lopsided. Hands down, no question. It has got to be in the company's favor. Companies aren't in the business of losing money. Companies aren't in the business of breaking even. It just can't be that way. Profit's not a bad word. A company has got to make a profit. And you've got to be a promoter for them to make sure they get a profit. You want that company to stick around. So if you're getting a dozen arrows a year for free or whatever that may be, know that somehow you've got to work to bring that company in more money than they've given you. Most of the staff shooter positions, not all, but most, start at your local shops. A certain company may reserve a couple of spots, 1, 2, 3, whatever, spots for their dealers to recommend staff shooters for that company. So depending on the size of the dealer, a lot of times, that's what's going to determine how many staff shooter spots they're allotted. Well, it wouldn't be likely that you're going to walk into a local shop and say, hey, why don't you put me on whatever arrow company's staff? You've got to get in good with the local shops. Ways you can do that is be helpful, be visible. If you're on the range and there's a new shooter that is maybe struggling and you have some knowledge in a certain area and you're able to help them, be approachable, be friendly, and help them out. Shop owners are going to notice that. If you're in the store and there's a customer there that's maybe struggling with deciding between a couple items and you happen to know something about those, be helpful. You know, give them the ins and outs, pros and cons of what you know about it, and just little ways you can help out. And your shop owners are going to appreciate that. In fact, a lot of the staff shooter applications will have a spot on there for shop owner recommendation, you know, their signature. So ways that you can make a company profit. It's not all about being a first place finisher or killing big animals. Because in fact, that even itself comes down to profit, right? The reason why a company would be attracted to a person that's shooting at the top level is because other people like winners. They like seeing what equipment they're using, you know, what techniques they're using. And if I see a shooter that's shooting a certain product, I mean, psychologically, it makes you feel like if you shot that, you're going to shoot that well too. So companies see that and they know that that's you know, a possibility, and it's potentially going to make them more of a profit. So it's not the fact that they're a first place finisher, it's because of that that can make them a profit that they're attracted to. What I lack in talent, I make up for in hard work. You know, and I don't feel that I'm very talented in a lot of areas. I work my butt off. So it's kind of the same way that you can do that, you know, when you're looking to promote a product. You don't have to be that top place finisher, but you could be a salesman for them, a promoter, you know, an advocate or an asset to the company by being visible, going to tournaments, you know, being out there on social media to where you can kind of talk up a product, be a salesman for them, and help generate profit, because you want the company to stick around. They need to make a profit to do that, and you're a salesman for them. So, you know, do that. Basically, do your job if that's what you're, you know, you signed a contract as a staff shooter. But it's kind of nice for me to be able to say some of these things now that I did close the archery shop down, still run the string business, but because a lot of people are reserved, a lot of shop owners will be reserved to say some of this stuff because they've got to protect, you know, their reputation and their business, and they don't want to come across as kind of bold or whatever. But I would also encourage you to document, you know, what it is that you do for a company. If you bring in, you know, 10 people a year that bought their product, I'd document it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And at the end of the year, or end of the day, you're able to tell that company, you know, hey, I appreciate everything you've done for me. I want you to know that this is kind of what I've done for you this year, because I don't want you to feel that it's lopsided in my favor. I want you to know that I'm working with you. We're in this together, and these are the things that I've done to help your company as well. So I appreciate that, and there's nothing wrong with that. The takeaways from this would be see things a little bit differently, hopefully, that know that it's just not about getting the free stuff or the discounted things. It's a partnership, and it has to be a lopsided partnership. Understand that a company doesn't have X amount of dollars laying around that they intend to blow. An advertising budget, a budget for staff shooters, products they give away free or at discounted cost, are because they intend to make a profit off of that in return. And it has to be that way. Also understand that it's basically comes down to your local shops and supporting local shops. Without that, our industry dies. It's okay to buy things online, but understand that that comes with a cost. The few pennies that you may be saved online are taking away from local shops, the brick and mortar stores, the guys that are there that know your face, know your name, and are able to help you when you need it. I don't know of anybody that's called onto eBay to fletch their arrows or tune their bows for them. So understand that without support in your local shops, we're no longer going to have that, and that's pretty sad. So I guess take away those for me, and if nothing else, I hope helped a person or two out there and said something that maybe others wanted to say and just didn't feel like they could. So thank you, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.